Hey everybody, this is Allison with Alley Cat Meadows, my suburban flower farm, and today we're going to be talking seed starting and making your own seed starting mix. So let's get to it. First ingredients: vermiculite, perlite, and coco coir. So coco coir is comes in these little bricks, and they're dehydrated, and so it makes them really compacted, and you're going to end up adding water to this and it's going to expand. This is 2 bricks, and you can order it, but it's in most gardening supplies stores. Normally, if my seedlings are going to be in there a little bit longer, like starting seedlings in the winter, I'm going to add some worm castings to help feed them a little bit more, but this is the end of July. I'm running a second succession of zinnias from a breeding zinnia, which is why I'm not just direct sowing them right now. I want to get a better idea of their germination rate with green seed, and I just want to keep a track on them a little bit closer. So I'm not going to add the worm casting just because they're not going to be in there that long, and it helps me save just a little bit of money. But I am going to add some unsulfured molasses. The unsulfured molasses is going to help give the seedlings a little bit of carbohydrates right from the get-go. And I'm also going to add some mycorrhizae, which is microscopic fungi. And as we've learned in the last decade, that this is a big factor in healthy root systems and your plants being able to uptake nutrients. And that unsulfured molasses is actually going to help feed the mycorrhizae and help that whole system get going a lot faster. So let's get to it. So first I'm going to make my water mixture that I'm going to be adding to the coco coir. Instead of adding the unsulfured molasses and mycorrhizae afterwards, I'm just going to go ahead and mix it into my water that I'm adding to the coco coir to help it expand. That way I'm not attempting to make my mixture wetter by separating the 2 processes. So you need blackstrap molasses. You don't want just regular like Karo syrup or something like that. You want unsulfured blackstrap molasses. I'm going to take a teaspoon of it, and I'm working with a tub right now so that if I don't use all of my mixture, it'll be stored well indoors. And then that way if I make a mess, it can spill over into it. So I have my watering can that I'm going to make a mixture with. This is the mycorrhizae. This is a brand I found. Can't say much about it right now. I've used it on a lot of my seedlings, pouring it on there this year, and they've been doing really great. I'll put a link to it in the description. And then we're going to fill it up. I'm also going to take out all this extra molasses that's on my spoon. So while my water can is filling up, I'm going to go ahead and cut one of these bricks out. And plop it into my container. Okay, so this is my container, and I'm going to start with a small amount. You're going to have to let this sit for a little bit to give it a full chance to expand so you can mix it properly. So you can see here it's already expanding, and it's expanded enough that it's actually split into 2 because I still have my other brick. And I usually let it expand and then add water as needed so that I don't make it too wet and need to pour it out and lose some of my product. All right, we're gonna let that wait for a minute. So the coco coir has soaked up my water mixture, and it is very moist, a little wet, but I'm going to be adding the vermiculite and perlite into it now. So I wait until, because sometimes the bricks aren't always the same. Sometimes you order brick and then it's this different, coco coir brick size afterwards or something, or they don't sell that anymore. So I wait until I have the volume of the coco coir mixture, and then I use that. That's going to be half, what I consider half of my mixture, and then I'm going to let the other half be the perlite and the vermiculite added evenly. So if your coco coir is half, then the vermiculite is going to be a quarter and the perlite is going to be a quarter. And I just eyeball it, and there's no need for me to spend that much time in it, and I just kind of pour it over there and pour the perlite. Let it become undusty, and then I'm just going to mix it and mix it all up. I'll get my hands dirty in a second, but I try to get it evenly kind of mixed up like this first. I'm going to get into the corners. You want it to look like that and be able to, so if you're doing soil blocking, kind of squeeze it together like that. And that's what it'll look like. So that's how I make my seed starting mixture. Again, like I said, if they're going to stay in there a little bit longer, I'm going to add some worm castings or more fertilizer in there. But this is my summer seed starting mix for like second succession zinnias or sunflowers or things like that aren't going to be in there that long. And just skipping the worm casting saves me a little bit of money, and who doesn't like to save money? You can put these in seed starting trays, or I just put mine in, I'm going to put them in tubs like this, because I love these to start seeds. You can soil block in here if you want, but I just toss it in there, kind of cut it up a little bit, and place it in there. And then with the lid, it makes a nice humidity dome, and you can easily keep these inside for your seeds that don't need light to germinate, where they just need, moisture, oxygen, and heat. So I'm going to put my seed mixture in here, and then that's where I'm going to plant my seeds. So it's pretty easy to make your own seed starting mix. I think the cost of it is more effective. You can buy your seed starting mix, but to spend the money on the products, the volume I can get for the same amount just goes farther. And then as I want to adjust my seed starting mix to have worm castings or something else in it, I can, because I just have the ingredients versus, something pre-bought from the store. I just feel like I can have a little bit more control, a little bit more experimentation if I want to as well. That's part of the fun of gardening, right? Is all the science and experiments and figuring out what works and what doesn't, and what you like versus, what works well for somebody else might not work well for you, and you want to make an adjustment. So I just prefer having these ingredients. It's also nice if you're into indoor plants, you have these ingredients and you can make your own indoor soil from this too. That's how I do mine. It's pretty much the same. I just definitely add either some orchid bark in there if you're doing indoor plants, or and definitely some worm castings or something like that. But I use this kind of same concept for indoor plants too. So use that if you want. But yeah, I hope you like this video. I hope it helps you out, and let me know in the comments if you have something that works well for you, and follow along. Happy growing!